She never thought about losing you. Really, she assumed she could keep you in her orbit, just close enough to feel secure, but never close enough to fully commit. She liked the attention, the validation, the power of knowing you'd always be there. But then, something changed. You stopped playing along. No dramatic goodbye, no long emotional messages, no desperate attempts to prove your worth, just some silence. At first, she didn't take it seriously. Oh, he's just mad. He'll come around, she thought. But then days passed, then weeks, and suddenly she's the one left wondering. She catches herself scrolling through your profile, checking to see if you've moved on. She starts analyzing old messages, replaying old conversations, trying to figure out if she missed a sign that you were slipping away long before she even noticed. That's when she realizes you were never the person she thought you were. You weren't the predictable, easy-to-read man she could control. You were something far more dangerous, unpredictable, disciplined, detached. And now she can't escape the thought of you, because you didn't just disappear. You became a presence in her mind that refuses to fade, a memory that lingers, a question left unanswered, a story with an ending she never saw coming. And that's how you became her sweetest nightmare. Without saying a single word at first, she tries to act like nothing happened. She tells herself she's fine, that she's too busy to think about you, that she never really cared that much anyway. She distracts herself by hanging out with friends, scrolling through social media, maybe even entertaining new people to prove to herself that she still has it. But here's the catch, it's all fake confidence. Because the moment she's alone, the questions start creeping in. Why hasn't he reached out? What hasn't he reached out? Is he waiting for me to text first? Has he already moved on? And that last thought, that's the one that stings the most. Because now she's no longer worried about you. She's worried about her own position in your life. She was so used to being the one who dictated how things played out. She decided when to reply, when to pull back, when to breadcrumb you just enough to keep you hooked. But now she has no clue what you're thinking, and that uncertainty is eating her alive. She starts testing the waters, but in ways that make it seem like she's not actually testing them. She posts something on her story that's strategically vague, something like, "Some things are better left unsaid," which is basically code for, "Why hasn't he texted me?" She randomly likes one of your posts from a month ago just to see if you'll notice. She comments something subtle on a mutual friend's post because if she can't get your attention directly, maybe she can get you to think about her indirectly. And then she waits. She watches her notifications, refreshes her feed, checks her messages a little more than usual. But when she sees nothing, that's when it hits her. For the first time, she might actually be the one getting played. She wanted to be your sweetest fantasy, the woman who kept you guessing, who made you chase, who always had the upper hand. But now she's the one who can't stop thinking about you, and that realization shakes her to her core. She starts telling herself stories to make it all make sense. Maybe he's just doing this to get a reaction. Maybe he's playing hard to get. Maybe he just needs space. But the more time that passes, the weaker those excuses feel. Because if you were just trying to get a reaction, surely you would have caved by now. If this was just some test, surely you'd have slipped up somewhere. But you haven't, and now she's the one slipping. She keeps checking to see if you've watched her stories. She rewatches old messages, looking for signs she might have overlooked. She starts analyzing you in a way she never did before, because before she was certain she had you figured out. But now she has no idea what's going on in your head, and that drives her insane. She used to believe she was the one with the power, the one in control, the one deciding how things played out. But now she's realizing something terrifying. She never actually controlled you. She just controlled your reactions. But now that you've stopped reacting, she has nothing. That's why she starts testing you in ways she never had to before. She drops bait to see if you'll take it. Maybe a text that doesn't actually say anything important. Maybe a random inside joke she hasn't referenced in months. Maybe even an accidental like on one of your posts she swears was unintentional. But when she doesn't get a response, when you don't react the way she expects, the panic deepens. Because now she's not just missing you, she's starting to feel the consequences of her own choices. She wanted to make you uncertain. She wanted you to feel like you had to earn her attention. She wanted to keep you in a place where she controlled how things went. But now she's the one who can't stop thinking about you. She's in a state of waiting, and now she's the one waiting for you to notice her, waiting for proof that she still matters, waiting for some kind of sign that she hasn't lost you completely. And when none of that comes, that's when regret truly starts to settle in. She starts running through every scenario in her head, trying to figure out where things went wrong. Oh, is it something I said? Did I push him too far? Did he find someone else? And that last thought, that's the one that hits the hardest. Because before, she could always count on you. You were the one who cared more, the one who reached out, the one who always made sure she knew how important she was. But now she's questioning everything. She starts second-guessing every decision she made, every moment she brushed you off, every time she thought she could just come and go as she pleased. Because the way you're acting now, it's not normal. People don't just walk away like this unless they've truly made up their minds. People don't just cut off all attention unless something inside them has changed. And that's when it finally dawns on her. This isn't a temporary phase. This isn't you trying to play a game or get revenge. This is you moving on, and that terrifies her. She tries to tell herself she still has time, that she can still fix things if she wants to. But the longer she waits, the clearer it becomes. You're not waiting for her anymore. And that's when she truly starts to feel the fear. Not the fear of being alone, not the fear of losing just anyone, but the fear of losing you. Because now she's not just regretting the loss, she's realizing that she might never find someone like you again. And that's when the nightmare sets in. Because no matter how many times she tries to push the thought away, she can't escape the feeling that she was the one who lost. She tries to shake it off, to act like it doesn't matter. She goes out with friends, surrounds herself with noise, fills her time with distractions, anything to keep her mind from drifting back to you. But it's in the quiet moments, when the music stops, when the notifications slow down, when she's alone with her thoughts, that's when it really hits her. Because before, she was always the one who had control. She was the one who could pull back, ignore, and expect you to be there waiting. She was the one who could decide when and how things would go. But now she's dealing with something she never expected: irrelevance. She assumed that no matter what, you'd always be thinking about her, that even if you stopped reaching out, you'd still be hoping she'd come back, that even if time passed, you'd still feel something for her. But the more time goes by, the more she realizes you're slipping further and further away. And that's the one thing she was never prepared for. Because it's not just about missing you. It's about realizing she no longer has the power to make you miss her. And now she's the one chasing closure. She might not text you outright, but she'll find ways to make her presence known. Maybe she suddenly interacts with your friends, hoping word gets back to you. Maybe she starts posting things she knows would catch your attention. Maybe she even tries to act mysterious, dropping cryptic hints, waiting for you to get curious. But when she sees you don't take the bait, when you don't even acknowledge it, that's when the regret turns into full-blown anxiety. Because now For the first time, she's truly invisible to you. And the moment she realizes that, that's when she finally understands. You weren't just another guy. You weren't just someone who could be replaced. You were the one thing she thought she had forever to figure out. And now she's left with nothing but the weight of her own mistake. She starts to feel something she never expected. Powerless. Not just because you're gone, not just because you're not reacting, but because she no longer has any say in the outcome. Before, she could always rely on her ability to reel you back in. She had strategies, little tricks she used to keep you on edge, delayed responses, breadcrumbs of attention, moments of warmth followed by cold distance. And for a long time it worked, because you used to care, used to chase. You used to try and figure out where you stood with her. But now the dynamic has completely shifted. She's the one trying to understand your silence. She's the one second-guessing herself. She's the one staring at her phone, wondering if she should be the one to reach out. And the worst part, she doesn't even know what to say. Because what can she say? Hey, I was just thinking about you. I miss you. I hope you're doing well. No, that won't work, because she knows that if she reaches out and you don't respond, that's it. That's the final confirmation that she's completely lost you. So instead, she does what most people do when they don't want to face reality. She waits. She tells herself she'll just give it more time, that maybe eventually you'll be the one to crack. And somehow, some way, you'll slip up and show that you still care. But deep down, she's already feeling the truth, because time isn't working in her favor. Time isn't making you miss her more. Time isn't pulling you back. Time isn't proving she still has control. Time is proving the opposite. The longer you stay silent, the more she realizes you don't need her anymore. And that shakes her to her core, because now, every time she sees your name, every time she gets the impulse to reach out, every time she checks your social media hoping for some sign of weakness, she's reminded that she was the one who made this happen. She was the one who played games. She was the one who thought you'd always be there. She was the one who took you for granted. And now she's the one dealing with the aftermath. You didn't have to block her. You didn't have to say anything. You didn't have to make some big dramatic exit. You just moved forward. And that's what makes you her sweetest nightmare. Because no matter how much time passes, she'll never fully escape the thought of you. She tries to distract herself, telling herself she's fine, that she can move on, that she has options, that this feeling of unease will pass. But deep down, she knows something is different this time. Because in the past, when she played these games, she always had a safety net. She always knew that no matter how long she disappeared, you'd still be there. Maybe a little frustrated, maybe a little distant at first, but ultimately still willing to entertain her presence. But now she can't be so sure. You've done something that most guys never do. You've broken the cycle. No emotional goodbye, no passive-aggressive posts, no desperate attempts to get closure, just pure, unshakable detachment. And that messes with her head in a way she never expected. She thought that if she ever wanted to check back in, all she'd have to do is dangle a little bait. Maybe send a harmless message, maybe like an old picture, maybe throw out a vague "I miss this" just to test the waters. But now she's afraid to even try. Because for the first time, she doesn't know what your response will be, or worse, if you'll respond at all. And that's when the real panic sets in. Because if she reaches out and you ignore her, if she tests you and you don't react, if she tries to find some proof that she still has a hold on you and finds nothing, then she'll have to face the one thought she was never prepared for. She never really had you in the first place. She always assumed she was the prize. She always assumed that no matter what, you'd always be waiting. She thought she could take as much time as she wanted to decide what she really wanted. But now you're showing her that the choice was never entirely hers. She thought she was leading the game, but in reality she was just a temporary player in yours. And that realization destroys her, because now she's the one who can't move on. She thought you'd be easy to forget, that she could just replace you with someone else, that you were just another guy in her life. But now she's starting to realize the truth. Men like you don't come around often, and now she's stuck in a mental prison, haunted by the thought that she pushed away the only man who truly mattered. And the worst part, she knows there's nothing she can do about it. She can try to fake happiness, post pictures to make it seem like she's thriving, pretend she never cared. But deep down, she knows she lost something real. And that regret, that feeling of knowing she ruined it, that's what keeps her up at night. Not you, not what you had, not even the relationship itself, but the fact that she'll spend the rest of her life wondering what could have been. And now she's the one suffering in silence. If this opened your eyes, don't stop here. Understanding this changes everything. How you handle yourself, how you move in relationships, and how you build real power in your life. Click on the next video you see on your screen and keep upgrading your mindset. The more you understand this, the more control you'll have over yourself, your relationships, and your future.